Lilian Elizabeth Wyss was born in Sydney, Australia on the 2nd of July 1929. She was the second child of Swiss parents who had emigrated to Australia and married there. Studying the teachings of the Bahá'í Faith in a war-torn world, Lilian was especially moved by gleanings from the writings of Bahá'u'lláh, a book that confirmed her belief in Bahá'u'lláh as God's messenger for this day and age.
As her husband Sohail Alai quotes her many years later, "The greatest joy for me has always been to see how people who accept the teachings of Bahá'u'lláh, apply them to their lives, begin to refine their character and create a more spiritual environment for their families. It is the first step toward the unity and spiritualization of mankind."
This film attempts to capture the rich legacy that Lilian Wyss Alai has helped to build in the far-flung islands of the Samoan archipelago.
And his praise glorify.
While the images in this film span the 6 decades of Bahá'í history in Samoa, the video clips capture events in the latter half of this period, beginning with the laying of the cornerstone in 1979 of the 7th Mazrikul Askar, the dawning place of the mention of God. These images give a sense of the growth that has occurred over this period.
And the heart and the mountain, the refuge, and the cave, the valley and the land, and the sea, and the island, and the meadow.
At 15 years of age, together with her 16-year-old brother Frank, Lilian declared her belief in Bahá'u'lláh at the Yeranbul Bahá'í Summer School of January 1944. After the completion of her college studies in 1947, she set out for Europe, where she worked in engineering firms and helped establish Bahá'í communities. She was in Switzerland when, in response to her offer to pioneer, she received a letter from Shoghi Effendi in which he encouraged her and expressed his happiness that an Australian was serving in Europe. Lilian went to Norway and later returned to Switzerland.
Your Royal Highness, with pleasure we present to you the Knight of Bahá'u'lláh, Lilian Wyss Alai.
When in June 1952 she again consulted Shoghi Effendi in regard to the next country she should go to, he asked her to return to Australia to render pioneer service there in order that Australia may achieve its goals.
Glorify.
Lilian arrived in Australia in December 1952 and was elected to the National Spiritual Assembly the following year, in 1953. When the 10-year crusade was announced by Shoghi Effendi that same year, she immediately responded, and Shoghi Effendi urged her to settle in one of the Pacific Islands. In a letter written on behalf of the Guardian to Lilian, on the 19th of July 1953, he writes,
"In spite of your activities there in teaching and administrative fields, He considers pioneer work far more urgent at present. No matter how much the friends wish to go out as a pioneer, it is not possible for more than a few of them to actually do so, and so those who are willing to should arise with no loss of time and go forth and be inscribed on the roll of honor. He therefore urges you to make plans to proceed to a virgin post, preferably in the Pacific Islands, as soon as possible. He will pray that you will be richly blessed in this glorious undertaking.
And in the Guardian's own words,
May the Beloved enable you to promote at all times and under all circumstances the vital interests of this faith and its nascent institutions.
In December 1953, Lilian flew out of Rose Bay, Sydney, on a seaplane, which landed in Auckland, New Zealand. There she attended a Bahá'í summer school and also met Sohail Ahmad Alai, who later became her husband at their wedding in Suva, Fiji, held in November 1954, the first Bahá'í wedding in the South Pacific Islands. They had 3 children: Buddy Frank Alai, born in Apia in 1955, Sitere Carolyn Alai, also born in Apia in 1956, and Riaz David Alai, born in 1960 in American Samoa, a part of the Samoan Islands to which they moved in 1959 to keep it open to the faith.
From Auckland, Lilian crossed the ocean to Samoa on the Matua, an inter-island trading vessel that sailed to Apia every 3 months. As the Matua dropped anchor in Apia, the lush tropical environment with thousands of coconut trees and a scattering of tin-roofed abodes met her eyes, a total contrast to her 5 years in Europe. Looking over what seemed to be a sea of green, Lilian cried,
"Oh Bahá'u'lláh, where will I find the people?" By pioneering to Samoa, Lilian fulfilled a goal of the 10-year crusade of the Canadian Bahá'í community. In a letter dated 17th of June 1954 from Shoghi Effendi to the NSA of the British Isles, we find these words.
"The principle is, and it should be impressed on the minds of all pioneers, to hold their territory at any cost. Just because they've left their homes and gone out and carried the faith to one of these virgin areas does not mean that the task is accomplished. On the contrary, nothing could be sadder than that these newly won territories should be lost after a few months' effort. He hopes that in your correspondence with the pioneers, you will impress this fact upon them and make them realize that to be a Knight of Bahá'u'lláh is not only a very high and pleasant position, but involves a truly tremendous responsibility. To remain at one's post, to undergo sacrifice and hardship, loneliness, and if necessary, persecution, in order to hold aloft the torch of Bahá'u'lláh, is the true function of every pioneer."
Okay. In 1954, January 1954, this young lady who was single, alone and lowly, got off the Matua in the harbour here and entered the Samoan Islands.
On behalf of Sayalala Tamasese and the Tamasese family, I welcome you to the Yafiafi Waikwe family.
Lilian, in partnership with her husband Sohail, has valiantly held aloft the torch of Bahá'u'lláh, and she has truly promoted the vital interests of the faith and its nascent institutions, as hoped for by the beloved guardian 58 years ago. In 1957, just 3 years after Lilian had arrived, the first local spiritual assembly was formed in Apia, and there were 5 groups, one of which was in American Samoa. By 1959, there was a small but active community, and much had been achieved. Hand of the Cause of God, Enoch Olinga from Africa, visited a number of villages on Upolu, where hundreds of people gathered to listen to him.
Over the years, 7 other Hands of the Cause of God visited Samoa, and one of them, Dr. Ugo Giaccheri from Italy, played an important role in teaching the Bahá'í Faith to Malietoa Tanumafili II, the only reigning monarch to have embraced the cause. Dr. Giaccheri was buried on the grounds of the Bahá'í House of Worship, and Sohail Alai was later laid to rest next to him. Lilian was a member of the Regional Spiritual Assembly of the South Pacific Ocean for many years. The National Spiritual Assembly of Samoa was first formed in 1970, and she was a member of that body for the next 19 years, and again in later years, most of them as its treasurer.
Oh, my beloved Pacific, how shall I leave you behind? What will the world be when no more before my eyes I see your azure depths with indigo cloud shadows? No more before my face your foaming reefs, your turquoise shoals, your golden sands, the palm-plumed heads of your 1,000 isles. As stars in the heaven, so islands to your sea, and as stars become dear in the infinite reaches of the night, so have these become isles within my heart. And upon these smiling isles, smiling people dwell amidst the green. People who have laid their hold upon my poor, aged heart, and holding fast cry out aloud, "Don't go, don't go, don't go." How shall I lose you, later love, gift at the end of life's long way? Where shall the bird of my heart alight, now no ocean shore beneath me lies? What colours will now flood my being in the drab world away from all your light? Farewell, pearl of my heart. God place his hand on thee and fend thee in the shell of blue from the dark earth about thy shores. God bless thee as thy sunlight shines, and in his grace keep thee forevermore in the bosom of his love.
Knight of Bahá'u'lláh, Lilian Wyss Alai, once the only believer in these islands, after almost 6 decades of dedicated service, returned to the country of her birth in December 2010. She will be sorely missed by a community that she has nurtured with steadfastness and love.
Ma vie